stuck here. The cops won't bother me. I just got back with the FJR and I'm gonna take the NC out for a quick spin just because I want to ride it. And I fixed up the battery and I wanted to basically see if the battery is good. So let's see if this is going to be a little bit better. So before, my engine light was on. Oh man, this bike feels so much different than the FJR. I just literally got home with the FJR and I decided to take this thing out. So different. I was so dumb I didn't even check to see if the terminals were on there. This bike fits me a little bit better, I think, than the FJR. It's so much easier to kind of toss around than the FJR, but the FJR is a great bike. It's just way too powerful, and I feel like I am going to get in trouble with that thing. This one, when you're going like 60 miles an hour, it feels like you're going like 80. Just because the way this thing makes power and the way like the wind hits you. And I mean, this is a bike that you can get on this thing and you're never going to get in trouble with the way this makes power. But on the FJR, you get on that thing and you start to go fast. It's going to go fast, but it's also going to go right into a tree if you're not careful. This one, it's very maneuverable, and I think that's why I like this one. It's easy to maneuver, it's very easy to live with, and you can keep this for a very long time. And because it revs really low, you are pretty much holding on to this for a very long time because the engine won't wear as much as a high revving engine. Damn, it's got windy. That bike, man, that FJR was like keeping the wind off me so well. On these humps, I usually don't like to stop from speeding here. So let's see, not bad. The rear suspension is a little soft on this and not very comfortable. That's one of the things I like about these ADV style bikes for commuting, because I go over a lot of these, or I used to, these speed bumps, and I don't like to really slow down for them. I know that's kind of defeats the purpose, but you know what I mean. It just makes it much more comfortable to have some suspension over not having suspension. This thing feels like you can get away with a lot of things, and you can stand up on it really easily. This is actually easier to stand up than the V-Strom. It's something with the geometry of this bike that feels much better for stand-up riding. I guess you would do that for off-roading, but then again, Honda decided to put a 17-inch front, so I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. This is probably one of the most brilliant commuter bikes ever made. You would think that perhaps other bikes would make better commuters, but I find it hard to believe that it would be. Oh man, that house is all worn. You know, like, what makes a good commuter bike? First, you got to get a really good gas mileage. It has to be reliable. It has to get you to work. Maybe comfort is important. Windscreens are very important. You have to have the ability of riding in the winter. And I think this NC does check a lot of boxes. It's got a lot of good features to it. And you also have the ADV style, which is I almost ran over those guys. You know, the guy I bought this from, the guy that even registered it, he didn't even put a license plate. He used to ride it around without a license plate. So he's kind of a quirky guy. But this is a quirky bike. It's one of these bikes that I think people would like it more if they realize what it was. It's a bike that's very easy to live with, very reliable, or at least I've seen it to be very reliable. I've seen these NCs with 80,000 miles, and I think the only issue of not having a lot of miles on these bikes is that riders that tend to get this are beginning riders that don't put a lot of miles on bikes. Whoa, I keep hitting that horn. I think that's the only issue. If this bike, I think V-Strom riders are more advanced, or at least it seems like they're the type of riders that have been riding for a little bit longer. So it seems like they hold on to the bikes just a little bit longer than the nc700 fellers. And it's also quiet. So, oh, by the way, if you have an nc700, don't bother getting an exhaust. They all sound ridiculous. Okay, this is not the type of bike that you get if you want it to sound cool. It just isn't. Enjoy the stealthiness of this bike. This is kind of like a Prius of motorcycles. It doesn't sound good. It revs really low. If it was to rev high like a Ninja 250, it would sound a little bit better. But because it's a low revving bike, there is no purpose to making this thing a great sounder. But a 19-inch front wheel and then changing the suspension on it is going to make a really big improvement on this bike. And of course, if you were to get like a better windscreen, that would make a whole lot of sense. But having a stealth bike makes a lot of sense, because you can sneak up on bitches. You know, like a lot of guys, like, they just don't see you coming on this thing, because this thing just, it's a stealth bike. It's a sleeper. You can really surprise a lot of people. Alright, squids, this is beautiful Burtonsville. The roads are pretty empty. Social distancing. I love it. I've been doing it all my life. Now I can finally shine. Alright, squids, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye. Kind of stuck here. The cops won't bother me.